NBA superstars today playing longer than previous decades, diets, advanced medical treatment with a combination of fewer back-to-backs, load management, fewer minutes. Of course, some of the very best in LeBron James appears to be in his prime for 19 years now, not showing signs of slowing down from a statistical standpoint. How's it going, guys? My name's Wilson. A few players in their 30s noticeably declining. Future Hall of Famers Russell Westbrook, even James Harden don't look anywhere near as good as their MVP seasons, while 32-year-old DeMar DeRozan of the Bulls having a career season, putting up nearly 28, 5 and 5, over 50% shooting, was in the MVP conversation. Not many Hall of Famers played their best ball at age 32, a rarity in the league. Today, let's take a look at 10 former greats who played their best few year stretches in their 30s instead of their 20s. Starting with Sam Cassell of the Minnesota Timberwolves, one of the most underrated point guards of all time, never amongst the discussion amongst the best point guards, but found success everywhere he went, whether it was Houston with Hakeem, nailed clutch shots as a rookie to make his presence felt with the Bucks. Cassell, 26 to 29 years old, averaged 16.8.6 assists, but between the ages of 30 to 34 next 5 seasons, the beginning to the mid-2000s, Cassell, arguably the most overlooked player in the league, averaged 19.2 points, 7.3 assists on over 47% shooting from the field. A smart vet, a game away from the 0-1 finals alongside Ray Allen and Glenn Robinson, already considered an aging point guard, traded to the Wolves, age 34, had the best season of his career, becoming one of the oldest first-time All-Stars in league history, averaged the career best 19.8 points, 49% from the field, dished out over 7 dimes in a slow-paced era, helped Minnesota win a franchise best 58 games, helped Garnett and the franchise advance past the first round, cracked top 10 in MVP voting, second team All NBA. At that age, lacked flashiness and athleticism, but efficient, smart, and a strong leader. If it wasn't for his injury, conference finals versus Lakers, some believed the Wolves would have won the 04 title. Cassell, 2 years later at age 36, the second best player on the Clippers, averaged over 17 a game, one win away from the conference finals, averaged 18 that postseason, made the Clips most relevant during the 2000s, the dances, the definition of a floor general, one of the best non-Hall of Famers to play the point guard position. Chauncey Billups, labeled a bust early on to finding his identity with Minnesota in 02, first 6 seasons averaged 12.3 points. With no identity, no one thought Mr. Big Shot would end up one of the most impactful players from a leadership and attitude standpoint. There was no non-superstar as good a leader during his era. Even in 2004, after winning Finals MVP, Billups, 27 at the time, still overlooked, didn't even make the All-Star team in 05. Wasn't until 2006 at age 29 that Chauncey earned his flowers, 18.5 points a game, 8.5 rebounds, 64 win Pistons, finished 5th for MVP, second team All-NBA, the beginning of his prime. Following 2 seasons, averaged 17 a game on a 53 and 59 win team. It wasn't until he was traded to the Nuggets for Allen Iverson that many realized Billups' true impact helped Denver become instant contenders, 54 wins, nearly 18 a game. Billups and not Melo was the MVP candidate, 6th in the race, helped Anthony get past the first round, all the way to the conference finals, competitive 6 games versus Kobe's Lakers, put up nearly 21 and 7 dimes, age 32, another strong season. In 2010, a career best 19.5 points for a 53 win team. Before slowing down, it's an absolute travesty. 8 years after retirement, Billups still not in the Hall of Fame. Detlef Schrempf, the 6'10 sharpshooter from Germany, averaged just 12.4 points his first 7 seasons, still in his 20s, won 2 six-man awards in his 30s, 93 with the Pacers and 95 with Seattle. After putting up just 15 a game in 94, Schrempf averaged 19.1 points, 9.5 boards, 6 assists his final season with Indy at age 30. The 3-time All-Star put up nearly 17 a game his first 5 seasons with the Sonics. From 30 to 35, averaged 17.5 points, 6.7 rebounds, 4.4 assists. As the starting 3, the height, handles, passing ability, stretching the floor, combined with good shooting and getting to the rim, Schrempf would be a better version and shooter than prime Danilo Gallinari. Hal Greer, a top 75 great, the 10-time All-Star, often overlooked by the likes of Wes and Oscar in the 60s. His prime started around age 27, but from the ages of 30 to 33, Greer averaged 22.8 points, over 4.5 assists those 4 seasons, being an All-Star each year from 61 to 70. His greatest all-around run came at age 30. His prime averaged 28 a game in 15 postseason games for the Sixers title team, second team All-NBA from 63 to 69, a great outside shooter, good defender, the definition of consistency. Sam Jones, 4 of the 6 All-Star teams missed the clutch made happen in his 30s, a slow career start. One All-Star team at 28, made a massive jump from 64 to 65, averaged 10.4 points up to 25.9. His 4th season, ages 31 to 34, put up over 20 a game each year. Numbers of 13.9 points 6 seasons in his 20s, a big increase to 21.5 points in his 30s. That included his final season in 69. The 10-time champ made All-NBA second team from 31 to 33 to further show his 30s wasn't a fluke. Jones's playoff numbers from 64 to 69, 22.7 points, 5 titles at the time, while in his 20s, around 14 points a game, 5 titles. The mid to late 60s where he did his best work, 25 of 27 postseason series career wins, timely shots, selfless, could have easily averaged more points earlier, but waited his turn due to Rhett's coaching, a great teammate. Here's what the great Bill Russell said about his former teammate.
In terms of basketball skills, in total, Sam Jones was the most skillful player that I played with. And 6 times during that run, we won 8 straight championships. And 6 times during that run, we asked Sam to take the shot that meant the season. If he missed it, we were finished for the season. He never missed. And he never hesitated to take the shot.
Lenny Wilkens, the 6'1" point guard, played for 4 different teams in his 20s, 14.7 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Next 8 seasons in his 30s, 17.9 points, 4.5 boards, 8 assists. The 9-time All-Star at the peak of his career from 68 to 73, 30 to 35 years old. After never averaging more than 6.5 assists, Wilkens put up between 8.3 to 9.6 between those years. Did his best work with the Sonics, never talked about as well of the top point guards, barely had any playoff success. 68 led St. Louis to 56 wins, even finished second in MVP at the peak of his powers behind Wilt Chamberlain. A player coach for 4 seasons, also one of the most decorated head coaches, a deep basketball mind. At the time of his retirement, Wilkens was second all-time in assists, only behind the Big O. John Havlicek, the definition of incredible longevity and durability. Havlicek was an all-out hustle guy, combined with his talents, relentless defense. The 8-time champ started his career off the bench, proved to be capable of putting up nearly 30 points a game. Best statistical year at age 30 and 31, 29 points, 9 rebounds, 7.5 assists, 27.5 points, 8 and 7.5 dimes. At age 33, led his Celtics to a 7-game series win over Kareem's Bucks, 27 points a game that playoff run, top 5 in MVP voting, ages 31 and 32, made first team 4 times, all coming from his 30s. Often forgotten since he wasn't seen in the public eye after retirement, a more accomplished version of Scottie Pippen and better than Pippen all time in my opinion. Anybody who thinks Paul Pierce is a better Celtic than Hondo is just a complete casual and don't know the NBA well enough. Alex English, the Blade didn't have a good start, ages 22 and 23 coming into the league, made his first All-Star by 28. In his 20s, just averaged 18.4 points, but in his 30s, 24 points a game. From 30 to 35, English averaged between 25 to 30 points from 1984 to 89. Each of those years better than any of his first 5 seasons, averaged 30.2 points in the 85 playoffs, falling to Showtime. Only him and Vince Carter, the only guys with more than 2,500 career points, excluded from the NBA's top 75 list. Career very similar to Melo and Dominique Wilkins because his game's not flamboyant, overshadowed by the likes of Dominique and Jordan, most known for having the most points in the 80s decade. Dennis Rodman, one of the most improbable journeys. Not many players will be as late bloomers as the Worm. Entered the league at 25, still learning the game at that point, found his identity with the Bad Boys, an All-Star by 28. Also another All-Star team at 30, arguably the greatest pound-for-pound rebounder the game has seen. Between the ages of 30 to 36, Rodman led the league in rebounds for 7 straight seasons in an era which featured Shaq, Mutombo, Hakeem, and David Robinson. The 7-year peak of 6.4 points, 16.7 rebounds in 471 games. Rodman even put up over 18 boards for 2 seasons, by far the highest of anybody outside the 50s, 60s, and 70s. A genius using his arms to box out, studying how the ball bounced around the rim, anticipated where it would go, considered the greatest greatest role player all time. Some believe Rodman, in terms of rebounding, was even better than Jordan was to scoring. Can guard 1 to 5. If the Worm was playing in today's game, he'd be guarding LeBron one game, Giannis the next, then Durant and Jokic, even after partying a full night, downing 40 vodka shots. Steve Nash. Wasn't until when he signed with Phoenix, teaming up with Mike D'Antoni, did he earn praises as a superstar, viewed as a good point guard with Dallas. But after the 04 season, a lackluster first round, there were at least 8 other point guards many would have easily taken over Nash on their team. Already 30 years old at the time with a bad back, averaged close to 18 points in 02 and 03 to just 14 and a half a game. Phoenix went from a 29 win team, second last in the conference, to number 1. With Nash, made everybody better, the perfect distributor, earned back-to-back improbable MVPs. Nash arguably the most unlikely MVP of the century. There'd be 30 other names to guess for the 05 MVP before the season over Nash, being an athletic slow and a fragile body frame. Nash was even better in 06, averaged close to 19 a game, 10 and a half dimes, 50, 40, 90 multiple times, got all his teammates paid, and even 07, career best 11.6 dimes on a 61 win team, could have three-peated the award. By far his 3 best seasons from age 30 to 32, the year Nowitzki won MVP. Nash actually had the most votes for first team All-NBA due to Phoenix's untimely situations, Joe Johnson's eye injury in 05, the Amari injury 06, the Ori heat check 07. The Nash D'Antoni Suns were one of the best teams to never win the title, from being booed on draft night to averaging single digits his first 4 seasons, even booed his 3rd season and shot 36% from the field, to becoming one of the most efficient guards the game has ever seen. Prime Nash, one of the most complete offensive players all time, especially from a team perspective, elevating everybody playing with him. Hakeem Olajuwon. Dream made an immediate impact, a guaranteed lock as a future Hall of Famer. Before the 90s, after leading Houston to the finals in year 2, it seemed like him and Jordan would be the next faces after Bird and Magic, but fell off that conversation after having a bad team for several years. Took 8 long years to finally get back to the finals, although Dream was clearly a top 5 player in the game by his 2nd season. After voicing his displeasure with Rockets management, could have demanded out more vocally, but eventually worked things out with the team, even missed the playoffs entirely in 92 after Jordan won his 2nd title. MJ head and shoulders above everybody else. Number 2 didn't even seem to matter. The league was all Michael Jordan at that point, but Hakeem rejuvenated himself. 55 wins in 93, age 30, his best statistical season yet, 3rd in MVP voting. But after Jordan retired, titles up for grabs, the NBA hasn't been that wide open for so many teams to have a chance winning. Since the 70s, New York, Phoenix, Cleveland, and Seattle greater title odds. Dream absolutely balled out. First player to win MVP, DPOY, and NBA title all in the same season, destroyed and dominated his competition. The following year, averaged nearly 28 and 11, one of the greatest playoff runs all time. Dream absolutely destroyed, abused, annihilated, and humiliated MVP David Robinson on all levels. Ages 31 and 32, 2 classic title runs, 31 points a game, nearly 11 boards, 4.5 assists, 3.5 blocks on 53% shooting, outscored every one of his superstar opponents. Although in his early years, Hakeem faster from an athletic standpoint, his game was most complete and unstoppable during the 2 title years. Not to forget about 96, Hakeem's averages of 27 points in the slower NBA, 3rd highest career scoring season, the most complete center all time, prime Hakeem in his early 30s, literally unguardable. Honorable mentions includes Antonio Davis, Vlade Divac, and Dikembe Mutombo, all former All-Stars. Current players still in the NBA, Kyle Lowry and Goran Dragic were better in their early 30s, then 20s, had late primes. Those were all the stars and great players who hit their primes in their 30s instead of their 20s. Most NBA players would be at their best between the ages of 27 to 30, but there's a few rarities out there. Guys like Mike Conley and good role player retired Kyle Korver made their first and only All-Star well late into their careers. Certain guys just develop much later than others. Thank you so much for watching this video. Which player on the list surprised you most with their late primes? Let me know in the comments below. Once again, thank you so much for watching. I love all of you. See you next time.